camera footage of the officer-involved shooting of the terrorist on New Year's Day, 2025. At approximately 3:15 a.m., NOPD officers assigned to the special event covering the New Year's Eve, as well as the Sugar Bowl, responded to an incident involving a white pickup truck in the 300 block of Bourbon. As officers surrounded the vehicle, the driver fired at them. In response, Sergeant Nigel Daggs, along with officers Christian Beyer and Jacoby Jordan, returned fire. They killed the terrorist. He was pronounced deceased on the scene. During the incident, Officer Jacoby Jordan and Officer Joseph Rodrigue, who did not discharge his firearm, but they both sustained wounds to their thighs. They were transported to the hospital for treatment and have since been released. Officer Rodrigue also suffered a broken shoulder. In accordance with NOPD policy, all officers involved in this incident were placed on an administrative reassignment. However, this morning, I have removed them from the reassignment, and they are cleared for full duty status. The NOPD Public Integrity Bureau's Force Investigation Team, which is behind me, is the lead in doing the administrative investigation of this officer-involved shooting. The FBI remains in charge of the investigation of the overall scene. Again, I wish to honor our national heroes and our New Orleans treasured officers. They are Sergeant Nigel Daggs. He is a 21-year veteran. Officer Beyer and Officer Jacoby Jordan are almost 2-year veterans. Officer Beyer is 1 year and 11 months. And Officer Jordan is also a 1 year and 9-month veteran. Officer Rodrigue is a 9-year veteran and 8 months, so almost 10 years with our department. We do recognize the public's interest in this matter. However, this incident is still under investigation. I will have to be limited in answering questions for you as well as our team, but we will take the questions that we can.
Okay, we're going to start over with you, Cassie, the issue. Okay.
I mean, so obviously officers are doing okay now. How are they doing mentally going through something like this?
I think all officers involved in this particular incident, this is a different event, and with it, it carries a different heavy burden. I think, and we have about 175 staff members who will be having some wraparound services for those very issues, but the officers have been in good spirits, and this weekend they're being honored in Texas, as well as some other national recognitions, and that's why they are national heroes. And but they are treasured, so our treasured officers.
And one more question, were you able to see other body camera video? I mean, obviously you've probably been reviewing all this. What did you see kind of this incident? You're
gonna see this when we release it, what we have in terms of the body worn camera footage. Of course, all of us were actually on the scene. And I know Chief Gantier was on the scene within about 2 minutes. I lived 3 blocks away. So I was also on the scene very, very quickly.
Okay. Foxy.
Chief, if you could talk to, in the body camera video, we see that there are some bystanders in the area when officers open fire on the suspect. Can you talk about that decision and how difficult it is, even when you have a situation like this, to decide to shoot?
Right, officers are trained for shoot scenarios like that. They are highly trained, and that's what you saw. These are split-second decisions, and so this portion that we're releasing to you has to do with the policy issues, and it's clear that these officers were well within policy, and so we have zero concerns about that. but all officers are faced with shoot, don't shoot. And this was clearly within the law and clearly solidly within a policy.
Jack?
Yeah, when officers approached the vehicle, did they believe it had been acting maliciously, or did they consider maybe it was a drunk driver or something like that? Did they know in advance that it
They have given their statements, and that will all be available at the right time. So it is then that they will, their thinking and understanding will be made public.
Paul?
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about the officers that were already nearby because they were making an unrelated arrest, and how many officers were there?
I can't speak to that for you right now, and I have to kind of leave it up to the investigators what they know and what they can't speak to.
What can you say about the number of officers that happened to be within that general vicinity?
You know, I'm actually going to, I know that our numbers were, I don't have the actual numbers. I wasn't prepared for that, but if someone can speak to it. Yeah, go ahead.
So, Sergeant Michael Guasco with the Force Investigation Team. As far as it pertains to the actual number of officers, that's a hard question to give a true answer just based upon how much of a radius we're going to determine are considered officers in the immediate area. This was New Year's Eve coverage, so several officers were out there, not only from NOPD, but other outside agencies that assisted with that coverage.
Okay, 26?
Good morning, Chief. Just in general terms, what is the department taking from this incident and learning from it?
You know, that is part of the after-action review that we have brought Bill Bratton in. That's going to be one of the scopes of his investigation, is to also not only tell us about the future, but as he even articulated yesterday, he will be addressing the past, the present, and the future. And so we will want to have a fulsome review, and that will absolutely be a part of our process.
WWL Radio?
nothing, thank you.
Okay, Chelsea? I'm sorry.
Chief, could you speak to whether or not any bystanders happened to be injured by any gunfire in this incident?
I saw only in the media that you reported, but I believe we was told this morning that someone did receive. I think it was shrapnel, but I don't know if they were actually shot. But if it was shrapnel, I do know one. Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know a lot of details over it. That's why I'm kind of like, I'm know only real big picture of it.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, one last question will go to Paul.
Can you
I'm
tell
sorry,
us
hold on, Paul. Paul, give me 1 second. Go ahead, sir, I'm sorry.
Jeff Adelson with the Times-Picayune. There's only one shot coming from or it appears there's only one shot coming from the cab on the video, and there's multiple people, including officers who were injured by gunfire. Is it possible that some of the people who were injured by friendly fire from police officers?
That is a detail that will be a part of the FBI's investigation, so I can't speak to that right this particular moment. Yeah,
Okay.
that'll
Oh,
be
you
the
had-
FBI.
You had one last question, and we'll wrap it up.
Chief, were you aware that a truck was not being used to block that entrance, and it was a police car rather than a truck, which is what the plan called for?
Well, that's going to be a part of all of the investigative review, and I am going to be answer any and all questions during the investigations, and then the results of that will be made public.
Was the plan to have a truck there, though?
I
Okay,
cannot
thank you,
speak to
guys.
that. I'm sorry.
Thank you for coming out, we appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right.